This year's microlot, called Monte Borracho, is the result of fermentation experiments that we've done right here in our beneficio. So this coffee comes from the plantation lot called Montreal, and it's one of our oldest plantation lots and produces a coffee that we know very well. So it was perfect to do experiments on and compare the results. But first, why do we even ferment coffee? Well, after we pulp the coffee cherries, the coffee beans will have a slimy layer called mucílago, and this layer is really hard to remove from the coffee. So what farmers normally do is they store the coffee for a day, maybe two, and this will give time for the sugars in this layer to break down and make the layer easier to wash. But it turns out that if you do controlled fermentation, you can actually influence or even improve the taste of the coffee. So last year, we started doing lots of fermentation experiments. We did very prolonged fermentations, we did anaerobic fermentations, carbonic maceration, a lot of stuff. But the best results we got when we mixed brewer's yeast with our normal coffee in our fermentation pools. So this year, we done this again. We got the brewer's yeast from a brewery here in Villarrica, run by a friend. The brewery is called Barmalt. What happens is the brewer has these big tanks where he's fermenting beer. At some point, he decides to stop the fermentation. So he chills down the tanks, and all the yeast inside will sort of go asleep and precipitate to the bottom. He then removes this liquid called slurry, because it's very thick. But instead of discarding it, we brought it here, and we mixed it with our fermentation pools. Now, our fermentation pools provided the perfect conditions for the yeast to reactivate, and the mucilage of the coffee provided the food for the yeast. So what we saw was very intense fermentations that lasted for 36 hours, and then we just washed the coffee and dried it like we normally do. Turns out the taste of this coffee turned out very well, and this is our microlot that we call Monte Borracho. If you want to know more about our microlot, please visit our website.